I'm in the relationship where my partner has been drawn into this problem from his past. It influences his energy and time he can spend with me. I was really tolerant, empathetic, and understanding over a longer period of time. But now I'm on the edge of enough is enough and just want to end it. I feel so drawn between supporting him and also just release this unnecessary suffering. Please share your wisdom, insights with regards to what is the best way to proceed. What I'll just say is the more you clarify yourself right now, the easier this decision is going to become. The more you clarify what you stand for and the more you follow that, the more this decision will be effortless in terms of what you want. But before you even do that, ask yourself which decision is honoring your potential. Which decision is honoring who you know yourself to be? Because most of us, when we make decisions due to how we've been programmed, and if you think about this, how many of you agree, if you think about this a lot, all throughout our school years, you've not really been taught how to think, you've been taught what to think. You ever notice this? And all throughout your childhood into even adult years, even today, everyone's just showing you what to think, media, what to think, right? Notice that. You've never really been taught how to think, because if you know how to think, then you're setting yourself free, in which, of course, one could say they don't want you to be free, right? So this is why it's important you remind yourself to set yourself free, to learn how to think. It's about you getting clear of what you really stand for. Because if you think about it, all throughout our upbringing, we get taught what we should stand for. Not really us questioning ourselves. Who are we? Right? What do I want? Not your next door neighbor, not your parents. What do you want? What's most important to you? How many of you agree we probably haven't done this enough? And for us to really, really get closer to that place of knowing ourselves deep, we got to be willing to lose ourselves, to really find ourselves on that level. To put simply, you got to sit with yourself today and ask yourself, who is this highest version of me? And then you got to begin to infer the decisions that's aligned with your highest self. Because here's a fact, there are choices in your life you cannot simply use a to-do list in terms of pros and cons list, if you know what I'm talking about. We've all been taught that's how to make decisions, right? And yet it's not really the most effective way, because there are some things in life you just cannot weigh up the pros and cons, because there might even be more cons than pros. Here's a quick example. There's a story of a recently couple that had just got married, and they were in a hotel room and they realized they'd lost their diamond earring, right? So the husband was quite frustrated, and imagine the wife was very, very annoyed. This was a very expensive diamond earring. She was looking all over the hotel room and couldn't find it, right? Now, because they had planned the rest of that honeymoon that day, they knew they had to get going and venture out. Now, to their surprise, when they got back, they saw that somebody had left the diamond earring on one of the desks next to the bed. And next to it was a note, which was from the maid. It turns out that the maid found it and returned it back to them. How amazing. When the maid was asked, what made you do that? She said, it's because I know deep down I'm somebody who's honest. That's her value, yes? But if she would have used a pros and cons list, knowing that there wasn't even a prize for somebody finding this earring and returning back to them, there probably would have been more cons of her making this decision than pros. It didn't really do anything for her, yes? But what it really did for her was it honored her higher self. So we got to make a decision that's saving your higher self. That's the key. Who you know deep down to be, you got to make a decision that is truly saving that version of you. Because every decision doesn't just change your future. Every decision is changing you. Now, a decision I'm talking about right now is not one of those small decisions, because it's true. There are some decisions in life in which you can just approach it in a scientific way, right? Logically process it. But there are some decisions in life, it's more complex. You cannot just simply use a pros and cons list. Let's say, for example, there was a way for you to become a vampire, right? You might be able to somehow imagine being a vampire and come up with pros and cons, but you won't really know unless you was to become a vampire. And by the time you become a vampire, it will be too late. You wouldn't know how to go back, or there wouldn't be a way to go back. True. A lot of our big decisions in life is kind of like that. You cannot use their full pros and cons list. What you got to use is checking in with yourself and asking yourself, what do I stand for? What's most important to me? And provided you do that and you honor and protect your higher self, it will always be the most fulfilling decisions for you. Yes? So ask yourself right now, is this relationship right now as it stands honoring your higher self? If the answer is no, then deep down, you know what decision you want to be making. But you might feel that there is almost a level of protection that arises, the little voice, right? And that voice says, oh, are you sure that's the right decision? Notice that. That's a habit in which we call ego, right? It's the ego habit, right? Your mind is trying to protect that story you've created about yourself. It's fearing change, therefore. This is why we end up getting stuck in the limbo, not knowing what to do when deep down you know what you want to do. You're just allowing your ego to protect you from change. How many know what I'm talking about, by the way? So remember, real change is not comfortable. Real change feels like this because you're literally waving goodbye to the old story of you. And the fact is, most people, some relationships they're in, they have lost themselves in this relationship, hence why they don't want to let go of it, because it feels like you're letting go of part of yourself. So to put simply, you got to clarify yourself again. You got to find yourself again in this relationship. You got to know what you stand for. And provided you do that, your decision will become effortless today.